Hey everybody, I'm Kate from CrateInsider.com, and I am here today with CJ Jones from Jones Racing Products, and we want to talk about a product that I sell quite a few of, and that would be the Jones, the JRP 1035-S-CE. It is our preferred front drive system for crank to water pump. So tell me, let's go ahead and take a look at it. What are the pieces composed of?
Well, we have a couple items that compose of that kit, that 1035 kit. It's nice for the late model guys that are running crank to water pump on the front of the engine and are running their other accessories off the bell housing, or that a guy that wants to run a power steering on the front, he can add it to this very easily. But it's primarily a crank to water pump drive, all serpentine setup, so it doesn't consume a lot of belt tension, which is good because that frees up the horsepower. The pulleys, I mean, super light, super lightweight stuff. So that's really important to everybody. But the one thing that's really neat about all our products is everything's made here in the USA, and we're really proud of that. Everything from the aluminum, USA made, to machines that are making it, to the guys in the shop are all racers, which is really cool too. So that's something that's really neat. We have all that wrapped up into this kit that you sell a lot of. The reason you sell so many is because it's lightweight, it's durable, it's very reliable, and it's built just for crate racing, meaning that the ratios are correct. It's not a kit that we've taken and retrofitted or is made for something else, or that somebody copied and has dwindled down the line and kind of turned into something for a crate car. It is designed just for crate racing. So that's what's really cool about this kit.
Well, and I do have my customers who use this what I love about it is I don't get any calls with problems. I mean, and the last thing I don't want anybody to have problems, but I really don't want to have to take the time to also deal with problems. And one of the pieces of that is, tell me, how were you able to make it a self-tensioning system? How does that work?
Well, that's tricky. But see, we own the molds for the belts. So by having that, we're able to keep the tolerance on that very, very tight. And then, like we touched upon earlier, with manufacturing the whole product line in-house in our facility in Oxford, Pennsylvania, every single part is checked as it comes off the machine. So the crank water pump pulleys work together ratio-wise, meaning the size difference between the two, so that the water pump is spinning the correct speed for the engine RPMs. That's important. But then they're also used to determine the belt tension. So all that's done in one simple, nice little kit that way. There's no need for an idler or anything like that. See, and the one thing with the idler style kits, you know, if you had a really long belt, the idler wouldn't be such a bad deal because the belt can dissipate the heat that the idler's pushing into it. But when you have such a short belt, you can't dissipate that heat quick enough. So that's why we really don't like the idler. We really prefer to do it our way.
And that's really interesting. I do have some questions. A lot of times people ask me, hey, should I use a one-to-one system? And I'm just like, well, just use this. I don't actually know the ratio. I'll be honest. What is the ratio on this kit?
This kit is just a little less than one-to-one. And like we touched on earlier, it's designed just for the crate racing. So if a guy's turning an engine, see, even if he had a 602 and he's only at 6,000 RPMs, it's still going to put him in the range of where it's going to be optimal for that water pump to create the right pressure and flow to keep the whole system running cool. Or if you have a guy that's running a 604 to track where, say, he can run a little higher RPMs like 66 or 66, it's still good for those kind of RPMs too, because it keeps us in that window we like to try to stay inside of for the water pump speed. That's what's important, is keeping the water pump speed correct so it's quick enough to move the pressure and flow of the water, but not so fast that the water is going to cavitate. And that's why it's important to make sure that the kit that you get is for a crate engine, because you don't want to run hot.
No, absolutely. I know I've talked with AFCO, for instance, Ben Baker, and talking about cooling, and part of that is how quickly we want to move the water through a system. If we move it too quickly, it's going to stay heated. If we don't move it fast enough, it's going to stay heated. So there's just that perfect storm of how fast you want to move the water, would you say?
Yeah, I'd agree. And you know, we get along great with all the other manufacturers. We all kind of work together to make sure we're on the same page. So I have to agree with all that, because we don't want to have the water go through too fast. We don't want to go too slow. And like we said, we don't want the water pump to be too quick and cavitate, but we also want the belt driven fan to do its job, pull the air through the radiator and keep the water cool. So all that works together.
So yeah, what were you thinking? I mean, when you designed this particular pulley system, going into this as the designer and the engineer who did this, what were you trying to achieve?
Well, the most important thing that we looked at was trying to get something to the customer that was going to be easy to put on, it was going to fit correctly the first time, that all the parts were readily available, and a dealer could stock and send out the door to cover both the 602 or the 604. So with those parameters set, then we needed to do some more homework on getting the ratios correct for the speeds, and then also design the product line so it was going to last, whether it be asphalt racing or dirt racing. So we have customers out here with the same style kit that we're talking about, that 1035, that are running them for 5-7 years now in a dirt car, which is kind of unheard of, but all that reverts back to the technology that's in our design of the serpentine and the belts that we provide. And that's another cool thing about this kit is it even comes with a spare belt. So guys that are running these for 3-4 seasons, they have the ability to say when that engine is getting to be replaced into the Crate engine or go back to their preferred rebuilder, then they can go ahead and put that new belt on and use the used one as their spare. So we kind of thought ahead to make sure the customer is going to have everything they need.
Well, and speaking of thinking ahead too, I know at least in my case, I've used this with several water pumps. I mean, on my side, I've used it with the Stewart, the Edelbrock. You sell a short style water pump. Is basically any of the short style Chevrolet or GM Performance style water pumps compatible with this kit?
They are, because if you look at the back side of this pulley, we relieve it enough so it'll clear the casting on the majority of the pumps that are out there. And as you know, when you get those kits from us, they come with all the mounting hardware, and they also come with what we call a shim kit. So we send 3/16 thick shims. So a customer can use those from behind his pulley to get everything lined up perfect. And then, with the belts, you can forward a belt front or back one groove to get everything lined up perfect. But normally, we just take a straight edge from the water pump pulley face to the crank pulley face and get them in line. And with the stuff that's supplied in the kit, you can do that with no problem.
Thank you so much. I do love your kits. So Jen, once again, it's the Jones 1035-S-CE. It's available at CrateInsider.com. And thank you so much for taking the time with me today, CJ.
No problem. Got to hang out with the great Kate.
Great. I just heard I had a nickname, Great Crate Kate.
Yep, it's hard to say.
The Jones front drive system, as well as other Jones racing products, are available on CrateInsider.com. If you like what we're doing here, hit that subscribe button.